What's up, gang? Welcome once again to another episode of Nerds Bond Podcast. We've been on a hiatus for a little while, and I'm going to talk about that in this episode. So right now, it's going to be a really quick one. This is going to be a really solo one. Trying out some new things. If you're listening to this and you think you can help me out and figure something out, something easy, please let me know and give me any suggestions. I'm open to anything. Like I used to use. We were really lazy and we're really ghetto because it's just the way we are. Like that's just how it is. And we're very do-it-yourself. You know, we're not cereal, so we don't have the access to we don't have access to a lot of stuff. So we ended up kind of bootlegging and doing certain things. When it comes to podcasts, it's just something that it's like an open secret in the podcast world. Like a lot of stuff we do have to pay for, but a lot of other stuff we don't. And it's really weird how like everything has exploded since I started podcasting. Because I started doing podcasting back in the day, like maybe 2000. I think the first time I was on a podcast was almost 2009, so almost 10 years ago already. Trust me, man, this shit is worth it. Anyway, um, it's crazy how podcasting has exploded because there's a lot of stuff going on right now that I personally don't agree with. Um, it's kind of like the YouTube stuff and streaming. I'm not gonna knock anyone else's hustle. I'm not gonna get in the way of anyone making their money. But at the same time, I never got into this to make money. I don't have any ads or any sponsors on this because that means I can say whatever the fuck I want to say, and I don't have to censor myself. I don't have to really watch what I say because I don't have sponsors and stuff. The thing is, when I was started the podcast, I was in a different situation. It's actually a good call. Sorry, bad call. But back in the day when we first started doing this stuff, I I had a really good paying job in New York as a doorman, and I got fired from that job a little over a year ago. And after that happened, like I had to move and I had to leave. Like once you get a certain amount of unemployment and you can't really live on that in New York, and I cannot move back to the Bronx and I can't move back to my mom. Like it's just not a possibility right now. And so I decided to leave and I came down to Florida. Now I'm not living in an apartment like the one I had before, where I had my own kind of space. So recording the podcast has been a very, very difficult thing to do in 2016. I'm gonna make some changes. I'm gonna be moving up to either Tampa or Orlando or somewhere in that vicinity. I'm aiming for Orlando because it's a little bit cheaper. The rent up there is a lot cheaper than Miami, and up there for mid Florida or whatever they call it, it's a lot more cheaper. It's funny, like when you smoking a stone, you forget to breathe. And I used to do a show. That's why I don't record. It's fucked up. Like I try to record as sober as I possibly can. But it's a new year, bitches. So I can do whatever I want. I feel like I should be doing makeup and shit or talking shit about politics. Wait, I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, the funniest thing about all this is that today's episode is just a test. And the really, really funny thing is that it all kind of goes back to certain things in the way I think about certain things. But anyway, I was talking to a friend today, and we were like texting back and forth while my good friend was doing her thing, and she tells me that she's a little busy, so I'm like, all right. But when we were talking and stuff, we were texting back and forth. I was telling her that I had rediscovered Rage Against the Machine, and I was talking to my roommate about conspiracy theories, and I was thinking about a lot of the stuff. And it just so happens that I'm listening to "Wake Up," which is, I think, the song at the end of The Matrix, and it's really fun. Like I totally forgot because every time I've heard the song now, I'm listening to the censored version, and I forget too when Rage Against the Machine came out. Rage Against the Machine started in the 90s, right? Right around Gulf War One, because they mentioned Bush and Clinton a lot in the first album. No, it was fucking Rage. It was Evil Empire, the second album. They mentioned Bush and Clinton a lot. So I guess yeah, like Rage Against the Machine came out in the 80s, like late 80s, right around the 90s. They came out right around the time grunge came out. Because I remember seeing the demo tape. God, I'm so fucking old. I remember seeing the fucking Rage Against the Machine demo tape with that picture of the monk burning. And someone gave it to me. And it had Bomb Track, either Bomb Track or Freedom or something like that. But that was around the same time Nirvana exploded. So it was just like a really, really weird kind of juxtaposition of music styles. It was like at the one side, and back then too, like you had a lot of different versions of rock and roll and stuff, and even hip hop too. So it's like people were constantly fucking arguing about shit, going back and forth and back and forth. It's the hardest thing to do, man. I can't do shit with my mind. I mean, I can, but anyway, back to our show. Okay, so Rage Against the Machine and conspiracy theories. Now, I don't actually. That's a lie because I kind of do believe some of the 9/11 shit after what I heard last. I had a conversation with some people that I know. One of the things I don't really talk about too much. I think I mentioned it before on the podcast last year, but one of the things that I don't talk about is that I do know police and I do know people who are EMS and firefighters in New York City. It's kind of taboo for potheads to talk about it, but it's like, you cannot be a pothead in New York City without knowing a police officer because they will arrest you at some point. You will get a ticket at some point, and you need to talk to people and get some advice. So that's one of the things. But I organically know these people, like either through my job, the cosplay world. You'd be surprised how many cops are out there, and my old job, and some friends that I know that became police. Same thing with the NY. Like I know a lot of people are into a lot of different things, and most of them and a lot of them are work for the city to some extent. So they told me some shit about 9/11. And some other people collaborated, and it was just like kind of weird. But anyway, that's a whole other thing because Rage Against the Machine is thing about that. Yeah. All right. So at the end of Wake Up, uh, the singer, and I'm totally blanking on his name. The singer starts to read out some declassified documents that were FBI, CIA, and local law enforcement stuff that got declassified in the 80s after like 20 years after certain things had happened. I'm not too sure how it worked, but yeah, like, stuff that happened in the 60s up until like 65, 66. And actually, no, most of the stuff in the 60s started getting declassified around the Reagan era. And people really didn't care because a lot of that stuff happened to certain people. And they're just like, fuck it. It's part of, it was a whole different time back then. There was a whole different culture back then. And everyone believed what the government told them. And everyone believed what the cops told them. And it's fucking hilarious when you watch stuff. Even that's like, there's a great line in Stranger Things where they talk about, yeah, I'm going to trust my 1980s American government because they never lie to me because they're the government. I'm supposed to trust them. And I thought that was brilliant writing and that was fucking hilarious because it totally captures the way a lot of like straight people, and then when I say straight, I don't mean gender. I mean talking about like now, no, like we call it straight edge, but back in the day they used to call it just straight. So yeah, like it's weird because squares, straights, people who don't smoke weed or don't drink, they kind of look at what we do and certain things in a weird way. And then the counterculture and the 60s back then, a lot of those people that are doing that stuff were protesting and doing certain things that were illegal, but it was a human right and a basic American right. Even back then, like our rights haven't changed that much. So people kind of think that all this protesting and bullshit is happening now. Our Constitution hasn't changed for a very long fucking time. So the stuff that's been going on now, it's been going on for a real long time. That's the thing about old man eyebrows. That's the thing about like a lot of the shit that happens now. History repeats itself, especially American history. We've been fucking with every other country on this planet ever since we were founded, and it's never gonna stop. It's just the way it is. But anyway, at the end of Wake Up, this dude ends up reading like a bunch of shit that was declassified, and then when I first heard it, I remember I had read some of the stuff about what happened to the American Indian movement and Leonard Peltier because that was a really fucked up case. I knew about some of the stuff. I knew about the big conspiracy theory that we'll talk about later, but I forgot that it wasn't a theory. That shit was real. That's another thing about conspiracy theories, right? You guys, who I'm not gonna say you guys because I have a feeling most of the people watching this or listening to this are a little bit more intelligent and smarter than the average bear. But conspiracy theories, or at least the modern conspiracy theories, don't stand up to certain things because there's science involved, right? Right. What's awesome is that the only time you can see what I just did is if you actually watch and subscribe to the Nerds Bond podcast web channel on YouTube. The visuals to all this are an extra treat because I love you guys. You guys have changed my life, and especially to the one this video is for. You really did change my life. Why me? Yeah. All right. So at the end I wake up, this dude starts fucking reading off the declassified shit, and one of them is like, yeah, one of them mentions the Martin Luther King conspiracy theory, and it's such the way he says it is fucking hilarious because you think about it, you're like, wow, like Malcolm was right, you know, like it was always part of the fucking grand plan. It was always part of the white government at the time to do what happened. Like everyone that died in the 60s died because of somebody else's plan, you know. I'm not too sure about the Kennedy stuff, but I know a lot of the other stuff that happened in the 60s with the Black Panther movement and a lot of the assassinations that happened there. Like the cops were involved. Like shit really did happen. But when it comes to the MLK conspiracy, it's this. I don't know if people have Googled this stuff or it's like general knowledge, but I mean, yeah, I guess it is because they talk about it in a couple movies. There's a couple movie scenes where the FBI talks to him. Yeah, they have been talking about it, but I guess people kind of forget about that shit. Like, we tend to put our heroes on a pedestal that nobody can touch, and I think that's really, really wrong because that's how we end up with Trump. Like, you have to put the mirror of reality up to everything that you look at, think about, and respect because you're using a lot of your brain to give attention to these things. And unless it's worth your time, you shouldn't be doing them. Because you're just making it worse. It's like you're feeding the monsters and the beasts out there by giving them the attention that they want. And you gotta cut that shit out. And you figure out what's worth your time and attention. God, this is why I can't do this. Fucking stone. Anyway. Yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. MLK conspiracy theory. Alright, yeah, there you go. I don't have Mike on, so it's like I don't have Mike Campanella, my partner, on to get back on track, so I have to fucking do my Zen weedy exercises to fucking focus. Okay, so yeah, like a lot of the shit that happened during the 60s with Martin Luther King, it was part of a really big plan to keep black people in control because they couldn't control Malcolm, and Malcolm was about violence. They could control Martin Luther King, and he was about nonviolence. Martin Luther King had kids out of wedlock, and Martin Luther King had affairs. A lot of affairs. The other thing is that he used to fuck white women, which is a huge no-no. And that was what they used to blackmail him, and it fucking worked. I'm not saying that his message was wrong, and I believe in his message, man. I fucking believe in that shit till the day I fucking die. I think every person on this planet is the same as everybody else. I think every person on this planet has a human right to be treated equally. It doesn't matter your gender, your sexual preference, your race, the color of your skin, anything, nothing about you, man. Nothing about you changes who you are as a human being. Nothing changes that fact right there, that you're always going to be a human being. Okay? I was talking to somebody on Facebook about certain things that I believe. I'm an atheist now. I wasn't before, and I was very, very super religious back in the day. And a lot of what I believe tends to tell me that it's not even just what I believe. It's like kind of like what you see. Like you can just watch and read certain things and you notice. We're all born with free will. You're not taught or told anything as a child that you can keep onto mentally, right? So you're born with free will. Like you're born a free human being, right? And then as you get older, as you start going to school, as you start going to church, as you start listening to your parents, you start listening to what society, which is what I just described, tells you, you start to believe that shit and you become indoctrinated to whatever they tell you. If you're born here in the States, 8 times out of 10, it's a Christian-based thing. You go any other part of the world, it's probably going to be a Muslim-based thing. And there's a couple places where they don't even care and they don't really get that much into religion. But it's just fucking hilarious because it's like, yeah. And then the hypocrisy of it is that this country wasn't built on those beliefs. They escaped the Church of England because they were being told what religion to follow. I'm going to say that one more time. The people who founded this country founded it on the belief of religious freedom. That means you can believe whatever you want to believe, but you're not told to believe anything. So all that shit about under God and all that shit, and in God we trust, that's a new thing. That's a pretty recent thing. I think the Pledge of Allegiance thing was changed in the 50s. I think the dollar thing was changed somewhere around the turn of the century. But that's not anything in the Constitution. God is in the Constitution. I think they mentioned it once, but not in the fire and brimstone sense. It's more of a we use this as something to make a promise with, but we're not forcing you to believe it. That kind of thing. But yeah, this is my test recording for Nerdist Bond 2017. I just want to see what will come out. I don't even know if I'm going to really use this or not. I might just post it just legit like this and just send it out and see what kind of response I get. It's been a crazy, crazy year. If this works out and I get some feedback and response, I'll talk a little bit more about what happened. The first video I want to do actually the vaping video and a review a couple of things that I've been using. But it's kind of weird when you review that stuff because as you guys can see, I'm really stoned and I can't focus. So I have to practice this shit a couple of times. But and I'm also really not into webcam stuff. Like when I used to do the podcast before, I used to mute and turn off the video because it was just too much. Now I'm like, you have to kind of have your face out there in 2017. So this is going to be one of the things that I'm going to be trying out. Thank you very much to the Glue Bar crew. Geeked Up Beyond All Recognition out from Long Island. They custom made this hat. It's an official hat in a certain extent. But yeah, it's a really cool company. They do some really good stuff. I'm going to be talking about them a lot. I'm going to be working with them for a couple projects. And I'm going to be at Big Apple Con, actually. I'm going to be at every big con I can go to. So Big Apple Con, Project Cause Awesome, C2E2, San Diego Comic Con. Before that, right after C2E2 Star Wars Celebration. I'm not too sure about New York Comic Con. I might try to actually get a pro pass, which I've never done before. We'll see what's up. The press pass thing, I might try too, but they've been really stupid about it the last couple of years. And guess what? I don't need to do New York Comic Con, so that one's just like the last one on the list. So we'll see. Anyway, guys, I love you. I love you guys so much because so many people have asked me to bring the show back, and I'm finally doing it. Like I said, I need help doing this shit. So please, any suggestions on recording stuff, any suggestions on streaming stuff, because the way we used to do it is I used to record and stream stuff. I used to record a video phone call that I would do through Google Hangouts. And since Google and YouTube are the same parent company, they kind of merged that stuff. So I'm not really sure how to record live streaming on YouTube now. So if anybody out there is listening to this or watching this and knows how to do it, and they can point me in the right direction and tell me how to do it as if I was 10 years old, because I know 10-year-olds can figure shit out, but when I'm stoned, I can't remember my name. So I need a lot of help with this, guys. Again, Nerdist Bond, I love you guys. My photography's fucking picking up like you wouldn't believe. So thank you guys so much, because a lot of that, most of that, is because of you guys digging my stuff, and it's a really great feeling. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'm trying to say goodbye for 10 minutes. Nerdist Bond, I will see you when I see you, and you will listen to my voice very, very soon. Okay, guys? That was another thing about Miami that I fucking hate when there's the chow shit. But anyway, ciao. Love you.